Steve Mignani here doing the junkyard crawl at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardston, Massachusetts. Now, everybody knows what a Volkswagen Golf is. Since the very beginning, there have been 8 model years or model families of that, and over 30 million of them were built. But who knew that only in the United States and Canada, from 74 through 85 or so, they were called Rabbits. Now, that's the thing. A lot of folks say, hey, I've got a Volkswagen Rabbit. People go, well, what's a Rabbit? Well, it's a Golf. And let's remember, too, that the Volkswagen Rabbit, or Golf, took over for the Volkswagen Beetle in 1974. But let's remember this too, though. This is not Volkswagen's first post-Beetle car. There were many, and we don't want to confuse the Rabbit with the Dasher, which actually came out a year earlier. And the Dasher is actually a Audi Fox with Volkswagen logos on it. But again, when I was a kid growing up in Massachusetts, these things were everywhere. This one is a Rabbit L, the base model. And the beauty of the Rabbit really was it's the car, along with the Honda Civic, that kind of showed Detroit how to build a high-quality subcompact car. You know, there was Ford Pintos and Chevy Vegas and Dodge Colts, the captive imports, that Detroit tried to fight off the Beetle with. But the Rabbit and the Civic were the 2 cars in the mid-70s that were very depressing to look at in the day, but they were the right cars for the time. Let's dig in. Now, this here is a 1981 first generation, and inside we can see here the most efficient utilization of space. It's a 4-door hatch with so much room in the back of this thing. This lifts. The back seat actually can fold down, and in the back of this thing you kind of have a pickup truck. I mean, it's big inside. And again, you know, these were meant to utilize space and be efficient. They weren't pretty by any stretch. Case in point, the rear and front bumpers are these hideous, really, you know, industrial looking aluminum structures right here. They're not pretty, and in fact I think there was almost an effort to not have style. It's an anti-style style. But like most cars made after 1974, they have hydraulic rams, which when impacted within 24 hours have to come back to original location to satisfy American insurance regulations. So that's the story at this end of the Rabbit. Now, as we move further, this one again is a 4-door, and once again we look inside. And again, you know, bucket seats were standard equipment, 4-speed manual transmission, but again, a lot of room in these things, and you could actually, you know, a family of 4 or even 5, if they were kids, could buy a Rabbit and get by without any trouble. Here's inside of the car. We see the 85-mile-an-hour speedometer, and there's a hole in the floor, but this was a 4-speed automatic vehicle, or sorry, manual transmission vehicle. There was no, there was an automatic available, but this was a stick, as most of these things were. Now, something kind of interesting, as we saw in the back, it said Rabbit L, which is the entry-level model. As we close this door, we'll see something here. The vent window here doesn't open. On the base car, this is fixed. On the deluxe and the custom version, this is hinged. So again, Volkswagen sort of set up a pricing structure to where there was profits built in as you paid your way up the scale. But the Rabbit L, fixed vent window. Kind of weird. Now, these are front-wheel drive, which of course was the way to fly. And the beauty of front-wheel drive is that from the firewall back, there's nothing needed. There's no drivetrain. So basically, that's all about function and putting people in cargo. The entire drivetrain is from the firewall forward. Let's look under the hood. There it is. This is the 97 cubic inch transverse mounted 4-cylinder engine. Now, these were all fuel injected after about 1975 or 6. And here's the mechanical fuel injection right here. There's the pump. These are the fuel lines, these braided lines. That's not Cal Custom or, you know, aftermarket stuff, but that's factory stuff. This is the ram-tuned intake manifold. Here's the plenum, throttle body, a twin body, and these tubes right here, the runners, actually just like an old Cross Ram or a Fuelie Corvette of 1957, this is ram-tuned so that at a certain RPM, it creates a slight supercharging effect. And again, this engine, 97 cubic inches, made 78 horsepower and 82 foot-pounds of torque. At about the same time, till 1980 or so, the Volkswagen Beetle, with the same 97 cubic inches, flat 4, air-cooled, made 48 horsepower, which is about half as much. So again, same cubic inches, but a very modern liquid-cooled engine in the Rabbit. And that's the thing, you know, the Rabbit, a lot of folks, again, don't realize that in America and Canada, these were not called Golfs until 1985. Now, the best model of these things is the Rabbit GTI, which is one of the first pocket rockets, you know, with a little high-performance 1.5-liter engine. But this one here is the basic Model L. And again, up front, we see the industrial-grade aluminum front bumper, and we get a nice close-up shot of the hydraulic mounts right there. So, you know, when I was a kid, when I saw these things on the road, it was a depressing thing. And we come around to this side here, you know, the whole thing with front-wheel drive is that unlike a Super Bee or a Camaro Z28 or a Boss 302 Mustang, you can't light up the rear tires. They're sort of just being dragged down the road by, you can see right here, the McPherson strut, the drive axle, and here it is, front-wheel drive on display. But as a people mover, with the minimal waste of space and the maximum utilization of, well, fuel economy, you can't really beat a front-wheel drive, front-engine transverse platform. So the Rabbit, as depressing as it was when I was a kid, it kind of displaced the American sedan. These were the right cars for the time. And of course, we know that Chrysler Corporation emulated the Rabbit with the Omni and Horizon twins of 1977-78, and they were basically the same thing. In fact, some of those things utilized Volkswagen four-cylinder engines for the first model year or two. And of course, the rest of Detroit very quickly caught up and said, hey, you know, high-quality front-wheel drive cars, we need to make them. Well, it started right here, but don't call it a Golf. It's a Rabbit in America from 1974 through 85. Now, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Maggs YouTube channel, and there's plenty more from Bernardston Auto Wrecking.